Yeah. And I asked everyone, I said, how many of you want to do this longer? And I think around 90% of the people had their hands up. And the people that didn't have their hands up, they wouldn't have been happy in any case. They wanted to be quieter longer. But when I told them about it, it's not interesting, but when they actually did it, they discovered how happy they can be alone. How did they know it? Not because I spoke about it, they actually tried it. We need to validate, we need to try to see how we can be happier. What makes us peaceful? The next time I'm in DC, we're going to do Mona for 2 hours. Next time I'm in India, I'm going to do it for 10 days. I did it for 7 days last time. I'm planning to do it for 10 days. And slowly increase it to forever. Sri Aurobindo actually did that. He went from living in a city to living in a building to living in a room and just never left that room afterwards. I think he spent the last 40 years of his life living in a single room. I don't know if these details are accurate, but the principle is that he ended up spending the rest of his life just being in that room. He just tried it. We need to try it too. We need to try substituting agitation with peace. And when I brought this idea of people up, I know in some people's minds that trigger went off, wow, that sounds really harsh. Letting go of those people who don't bring me peace and spending more time with those who do bring me peace, that sounds really harsh. It sounds mean. But if it brings us peace, does it matter if it's harsh? I think it's harsh to succumb to agitation at the cost of peace. That's harsh. That's harsh thinking. That's harsh living. Let's think about the things we do. Eating too much, sleeping too much, lying, cheating, being underprepared. All of this. This doesn't bring us peace. I don't need to say it on, from the Vyaspeed. We know this. We all know this. I saw this really interesting and thought-provoking statement on Attacki, those top 10 things to do, like that you see in India with the flowers and the cute dogs and stuff like that. And number 6 actually caught my attention, and it said, rarely do we regret under-eating. And we all know it, but all we do is overeat. It's an epidemic. Canada, States are so fat. But we know that overeating doesn't bring us happiness. We always suffer afterwards. We feel uncomfortable, we want to sleep, we can't go to work, can't study. But the next meal comes around, do it again. And this is why I started with, we know, but we don't really know. We know this is not right, but we don't really know this is not right. If we took a moment to scan over all of our experiences, we would realize that most of what we do is for pleasure, not for peace. Short-term equals pleasure, long-term equals peace. Most of us act for pleasure, not for peace, and that's why the concept and the title of this discourse was Valuing Peace. And pleasure was not talked about. Immediate satisfaction, as soon as it ends, brings immediate conflict. If I slept in too late and I missed that class, when I get up, I should have went to that class. I've missed a lot of classes. Cheating on my significant other, as soon as that pleasure is finished, now what do I do? How am I going to go back to him or her? Gambling. After we $100 on red, black. Now what do I do? Those $100 that I was supposed to use for whatever. Immediate satisfaction ends, immediate conflict begins. And I'm not saying anything that's profound. We all know this. But we don't really know this. So what I'm trying to do is make us really know this. When our thoughts and our actions begin to focus on the long term, then we've accurately valued peace. Then we know we're growing. Then we know we're on the right direction. Before we ever do anything, this is the question that should be in our mind. Will this bring me long-term peace, long-term happiness? If every smoker asked this question before they picked up a bud, would they smoke? No. If every gambling addict asked the same question, will this bring me long-term peace? Would they gamble? No. If every student asked this question before going out instead of studying, sleeping in instead of making notes, the answer would be no. All of these practices would cease by a simple question. And this involves growing pains. If you and I didn't go through the teething process, would we be able to eat puri, pasta, noodles, Taco Bell, so on and so forth? No, the gums can't handle it. But you suffer when your teeth come in. We don't know that, but we see it now. There are great growing pains that happen in the teething process, but it's necessary. When I was living at the Acharya, I went from a born and bred person in Niagara Falls, used to every luxury, and then all of a sudden I'm thrown into every discomfort. It's a growing pain. But if I succumb to that growing pain, then what happens? Then I leave the Vedanta course, I come back, and I wake up every morning with no meaning to my life. No reason to wake up. These growing pains are necessary. Those who go to the gym, those who run, when your lungs burn, that's needed to increase your lung capacity. When you lift weights, your muscles actually tear. And then they grow back together. They join together again. It's all part of the growing pain. This is worth it. It's worth it to expose ourselves to the peaceful, to observe those who are peaceless, to analyze our own behaviors, accurately define peace, and just start trying. Make those changes, make those differences in our lives. Whenever we think of change, that immediate counter thought is permanent. We always associate change with permanency. But it doesn't have to be. Try something different. And if it doesn't work out, try something else different. If it was a wrong decision, go back to the beginning. I do this workout plan, it's not working out for me, fine, I change it, I do something else. If we associate change with permanency, we'll be less likely to get involved with that change. But why not change? And if it works out, good, stick with it. If it doesn't work out, change again then. We create our own barriers that prevent us from experimenting with our lives. Trying different things, trying different ways of thinking, hanging out with different people, eating different foods. We are our own barrier to that. And this is really a sad idea because it prevents us from the possibility of more. A quote that I've always lived by with my life is, if I don't try to be happier, how will I know how happy I can be? If I don't try to be happier, how will I know how happy I can be?